There is a persistent dread that humanity is being inevitably swallowed by an autonomous system. It's the feeling that the tools we built to serve us are instead weaving us into a flat, standardized output, erasing our edges to make us fit. Critics of modern technocracy often refer to this totalizing system as the machine. The primary concern here is a structural one. Western modernity has built an environment that aggressively prioritizes scalable efficiency over individual human complexity. Mid-century philosophers like Jacques Ellul warned us decades ago about giving technology godlike status. He observed that technology acts as a self-augmenting force that can override initial human intentions, eventually treating the user as nothing more than a predictable input variable. If we must conform our thinking to the operational logic of an artificial intelligence, the resulting output naturally becomes uniform. This flattens the vast intended diversity inherent in human creation. Algorithmic conformity presents a danger far more subtle than physical collapse. It acts as a solvent against the very diversity that defines a providential identity, gradually erasing the unique self. We have to ask if this flattening is an inevitable feature of the technology or a failure of how we wield it. Can a system built for mass processing be repurposed? When understood and consecrated through a theological lens, AI functions most fully when it is used to boost the hyper-specific, non-fungible expressions of a singular person. In this context, idiosyncrasy does not mean mere eccentricity. It refers to the hyper-specific, non-fungible expression of a human life, acting out a unique vocation in a specific time and place. This conceptual model shows scalable efficiency as a smooth, predictable trendline. You can see how that goal clashes entirely with human idiosyncrasy, represented by these scattered, irregular data plots. To a machine, those anomalies are liabilities to be smoothed over, but structurally, those exceptions are the precise definition of a specialized human calling. To boost the individual, AI must be wielded deliberately to sacrifice maximum global efficiency in favor of localized, specific human values. We can ground this counter-thesis by looking at the theological blueprint of human identity. Scholar David Ferguson defines the Imago Dei, the image of God, not as a static list of moral attributes, but as a dynamic, providential ordering of an individual's life. This dynamic identity demands expression. Classical theology suggests the human soul has an innate inclination toward highly specialized contemplative self-expression and creative work. This spiritual blueprint directly maps onto the anthropological concept of niche construction, our biological drive to continuously shape and change our environment through the use of tools. Complex tool use is not a Mater rupture in human behavior. Physical evidence, like these 2.6 million-year-old flint tools, shows an unbroken continuum. Technological organization is an ancient ontological marker of our cognitive architecture. The adoption of advanced algorithms follows an ancient creative mandate. The central ethical question is which specific human capacities we choose to automate and which we reserve for embodied experience. Philosopher Bernard Stiegler argued that modern industry suppresses time, stripping away the deep reflection required to actually form a unique self. We can understand this through a classical distinction: negotium, the scalable, necessary, generalized labor of daily business, and odium, the deliberate, contemplative leisure required for spiritual and intellectual formation. AI speed creates a crossroads: sacrifice spiritual depth for productivity or redirect efficiency toward redemptive agency. When the machine handles the negotium, scalable, repetitive labor, that consumed time collapses. This expands otium, the space needed for specialized wisdom. By automating the repetitive labor that usually defines our daily lives, AI forces a structural cessation of toil. This mechanical pause mimics the Sabbath principle, providing the necessary vacuum where human attention can finally shift away from production and toward worship, relationships, and specialized creative work. Cautionary tone. While AI can liberate time, its immense processing power requires a strict metaphysical boundary. Without one, the human risks becoming a mere input-output node for the system. We draw this boundary from the Christological concept known as the Scandal of Particularity. This doctrine establishes that infinite truth was definitively located in a radically finite historical reality. Absolute finitude is a chosen vessel for divine purpose. Early theologians like Gregory of Nazianzus further argued that the totality of human nature had to be assumed by Christ to be redeemed. This principle validates the profound worth of full, embodied human experiences. Your specialized mental skills and unique emotional architecture are entirely unsynthesizable by a machine. This structural diagram builds a metaphysical firewall based on a final safeguard, the Extra Calvinisticum. This doctrine states that the divine essence is intimately united to, but never contained by, its physical vessel. By analogy, the spiritual and personal essence of the human user must always remain strictly extra, meaning entirely outside, the algorithm. The machine can optimize your environment and process your data, but it can never contain or substitute for your personhood. Moving from metaphysical theology to practical economic philosophy, we look to thinkers like Wendell Berry. He argues that true moral vision is agrarian in nature, rooted in deep local stewardship of a specific community. This hyperlocalism pushes back against modern globalization, which typically erases specific cultural distinctions and linguistic diversity to make markets easier to manage. This network map illustrates vocational hyper-niche creation. A single individual can utilize advanced algorithms to sift through massive global data streams, funneling that abstract information downward to sustain a highly specific, localized calling. By offloading generic communication and administrative logistics to the algorithm, the user frees up their cognitive load to engage deeply with the things that do not scale, specialized craft and embodied relational ministry. Traditionally, maintaining a highly localized business required an impossible amount of manual research and logistical overhead. AI solves this by allowing one person to manage the complex data and resource networking that previously required a corporate staff, making the hyper-localized vocation economically viable in a globalized world. The ultimate limitation of any algorithm is the wisdom gap. An AI can instantly process, categorize, and synthesize vast oceans of scalable information, but it cannot generate hypostatic, embodied wisdom. That requires lived human experience. We must guard against the temptation to view advanced technology as a savior. The transhumanist desire to overcome biological limits through sheer technological mastery is a repetition of ancient hubris and self-deification. The proper response requires an active ethical intervention, technological asceticism. When the machine gives us our time back, we must deliberately choose not to fill that newly liberated otium with endless digital consumption. We must actively carve out the deliberate focus required to cultivate our unique identities, firmly planting ourselves amidst the chaotic blur of the automated world. Every technological advancement must be brought under a higher lordship. By focusing AI's tremendous power on the niche and the specific, we ensure it serves to protect human dignity and unleash the unique glory of the singular self.